Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to Veda. Woo woo. I think that we are going to be, actually I know we are going to be updating Buzzword. So Buzzword is this reading challenge that Kayla from Books and Blah Blah does, and it started as a readathon, but I was not a content creator when it was a readathon. I was obsessed with content and I watched all the content, and then I made my channel and it kind of switched from a readathon with prompts to a monthly reading challenge where each month you get a different prompt. Sometimes it's a specific word and sometimes it's a group of words, like it could be a verb or it could just be like never or truth or lies and something like punctuation in the title, something similar to that. And I have been low-key participating every year, but this is the first year that I'm keeping myself accountable and actually doing this challenge like full-heartedly, not just, oh yeah, I'm gonna pick something and then not pick something, or pick something and not read it and just let it sit. Like, oh, well, I mean, I picked something for the challenge, I just didn't read it. So, knock on wood, but I think I'm actually doing well on both of these challenges. And I say both because 2025 was the first year that we have a buzz cover challenge and a buzzword challenge. So we've had the buzzword for many years, forever, but buzz cover is new and I am trying to challenge myself, so I am trying to participate in both. Let's see how I've been doing. We're gonna start with buzzword because, well, it's been around longer and I'm more interested to see if I actually can fulfill these challenges, like I say. Now, I will also try to tell you if I read it in the correct month, because I know that there are 2 that I did not read in the correct month, I believe. But hey, I'm getting it read, so I'm not gonna beat myself up about it. I know, that's so weird. Okay, so January was Truth and or Lies. I read Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. Definitely read this in January. It was like my second book of the year and I loved it. I gave it 5 stars. Absolutely wanted to go read all of Alice Feeney's backlist because I've previously read one other book by Alice Feeney and I didn't like it. But oh my god, Sometimes I Lie. Oof, I'm pretty sure it was her debut too. So you follow this girl named Amber Reynolds who is in a coma, but she can hear what's going on in the hospital room with her. So when her husband's in there, she can hear him and whoever he's talking to. When her sister's in there, she can hear her sister and whoever her sister's talking to. So when they're talking to her, you know, they put on a different voice and, you know, they're like, oh, sweetheart. But there's other things going on in her life that you're kind of getting hinted about, but you don't know what that is. And then you go back, I believe, like a month, and everything starts coming together, and then you have chapters where she's still in a coma, she's still in the hospital, but she understands what's going on around her, but she can't do anything about it because she's in a coma. And oh my god, the isolation and the like, that was terrifying. The struggle, the loneliness, the isolation. And it's a different kind of loneliness because, like, I hate being lonely. especially when you're surrounded by people that you love and that love you too, but yet you still feel so lonely. This is that times a million, because you can't speak, you can't move, you can't make any decisions, but you know what's going on, and you're just like kind of invisible. You're just there. You just exist. And that is the most like terrifying thing in real life. So if you have more books like that, please recommend them, because I loved this book. Then February was Waterwords. I don't believe that I read this in February. Just kidding, I read it on February 22nd. But I did end up listening to Flow by Kennedy Ryan. It was fine. I didn't love it. I really thought I was going to. I'm sorry, Kalani. Please don't be offended. But no, Kalani from Kalani Simply Me, she read like all of Kennedy Ryan's backlist, I believe, and was just like, there's a time where she was just gushing about everything Kennedy Ryan. So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give it a shot. So I started with Flow because that was a series. I think that's like a prequel novella, if I remember correctly, of this series that Kalani really enjoyed. It was fine. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. It was just kind of I read it and it was whatever. There we go. Let's move on. March is Thing in the title, so just thing. It could be anything, nothing, things. For me, it was Things We Lost in the Fire, Things We Lost in a Fire, Things We Lost in the Fire by Mariana something. Enriquez. It's this book. It was a short story collection that I believe was recommended in the 101 horror novels to read before you're murdered. And it had the word thing, so I was like, yeah, double, boom, boom, boom. And then I didn't like it. I don't like short stories. That's it. I don't know. I don't get enough time with the characters. I don't get enough suspense buildup or like atmosphere buildup. And I think a really good indicator of a good horror novel, at least for me, is the atmosphere being on point. I don't care if I like the characters in horror novels. In fact, like most of the time, I'm not gonna like them, and that's okay. But the atmosphere has to be on point. And if you only have 20 pages, 40 pages to convince me of something, and you know, you at least have to waste half of that creating atmosphere, and then by that point I've kind of already checked out. So I personally don't like short story collections, and I'm realizing that every time I pick up a short story collection. Then we have April was animal. So any animal word on the cover, like rabbit or in the title, rabbit or wolf or werewolf. I mean, that's still a wolf. But anyways, I picked Cry Wolf by Patricia Briggs. This was on my must-read list. It was on my 25 and 2025 because my brother gifted it to me for Christmas last year, and it was fine. It was it's kind of reminiscent of, I want to say Twilight meets Hunger Games, but not exactly. So it's like you follow this werewolf pack, and this girl basically gets like faded into the clan and it's young adult, and I don't know. It was fine. I'm not a fantasy reader. I'm also not I don't know. I really liked the main character in this book. I loved her. For the sole fact of the main character, I can't remember her name right now, but I loved her. I really thought that I would actually like read more of this series, but I don't think I'm interested. It was a good book though. I enjoyed it. I think I gave it a 3.5 star, which is solid. I'm just not a fantasy person. Fantasy books, not my jam. So we'll leave it at that. 2 and 2. Like, 2, you go to somewhere. Or 2, me too. But not the number 2. Not the number 2. Just me too. Like, I also want to do that. And for that, I picked We Used to Live Here by Marcus Zuzacker. I don't think that's his name. Anyways, We Used to Live Here. It was weird. It was so weird. I didn't hate it. I didn't like it either. It was weird. It was very character driven, which might have been the problem for me. I love literary fiction, which is very character driven. But in horror novels, I like equal amounts of plot and equal amounts of like character and plot, or more plot with a little bit of character stuff. I don't know what that says about me, but if I follow, like, I've read quite a few horror novels that's just someone descending into madness. I usually don't care about it. I don't. I have to have that plot, and the plot in We Used to Live Here was weird, if non-existent. It didn't make sense, and it was just kind of all over the place. So I can see why other people would love it, but I personally didn't love it. I think I gave it a 3.5, so it was a solid read. It was fun for what it was, but I felt very underwhelmed by it because everyone was talking about it. Everyone was saying how amazing it was, and I read it and I was like, it's fine. I don't know what that says about me. Anyways, then May was memory words. So for that, I read Say You'll Remember Me by Abby Jimenez. I was very underwhelmed by this one too. I love Abby, and I will read anything that Abby Jimenez writes, especially if she continues in the romance world. But this was not it. Again, it was a solid read. I gave it 3 stars. It was good, but it was not up to Abby's standards. I'm sorry. I love you, Abby. That's why I'm saying this. Yeah, I feel like a monster. Then in July, it was Punctuation. And for that one, I read Where's Molly by H.D. Carlton. I read this a long time ago. And if I'm being honest, then I could also use First Time Caller by B.K. Borison. This is what I intended to read for July's, and I ended up finishing it at the beginning of August, but I was reading it at the end of July, and just kind of, it overwhelmed me into August. But I'm actually using First Time Caller for a different prompt in the Buzz Cover Challenge, so I didn't want to double up on them. So I'm using this, but I read this way earlier in the year. Like March? No, not March. No, I bought it for my birthday, which was April. And I read it in the same month. I read it in April. but it has the apostrophe, so that's punctuation. This one has the little asterisk, the little dash, but there's that. Okay, then the rest of this is just going to be me telling you what I hope to read for the rest of Buzzword-a-thon. If I change my mind, that's okay. I'm notorious for not sticking to TBRs, but at this current moment, these are the books that I'm hoping to read for the rest of this challenge. So in August, the word is with. I do not have a physical book that has the word with in it. I have not checked my digital collection, so I have zero ideas what I'm going to read for this, but I'm sure that I have something digitally. I have like 400 books on my digital collection, which might be my next move next year. My goal this year was to get under 50 physical books. We'll see how I do with that in the upcoming months, but maybe next year will be more digital collection because I have a lot of books on my digital collection that I forget about. Anyways, with for August is going to be a mystery. Then September is events. I originally was going to pick something with like wedding or vacation or something like that, but I looked for those kind of words, and I really don't have a lot of books physically that have events in them, so I'm going to actually use the word work. Work is an event that you do pretty often. Some people love their work, some people hate it. And so Not Safe for Work by Misha J. Tooley. This is a hate to love spicy romance, and I think they're work rivals, and they both go on this trip to the Hawaii, and they're like competing for a promotion, but then they fall in love, and that sounds really good. Then in October, it's a violent word. I was looking for like murder or something, but instead I found hate. Hate can be a very violent word. Obviously it's pretty in pink on the cover, but hate, like if you hate something or someone, then I feel like that's good enough as I'm using it as a violent word. I think hate can be a violent word. So, If You Hate Me by Helena Hunting. This is a brother's best friend romance. It's also a hockey romance, and it's roommates. So she moves in with her brother and his best friend, and then I think the best friend and the sister, sparks start flying, and I love a brother's best friend romance. Don't judge me, it's fine. And I love hockey. I love going to hockey games. I am becoming very sporty in my life, which is interesting because I was on a couple sports teams in like elementary, middle school, but I don't know, I've never considered myself very sporty until recently, and I'm like, yes, and I love sports romance now, so I don't know who she is, but hey, I'm using it. Then November is Never. So I got this back in January and it came out in February. It's an arc, and I am notorious for not reading arcs. So this is Never Planned on You by Lindsay Hammeroff. I don't know what it's about, but it's, I think it's a second chance romance that shows that sometimes true love is something you never planned on. Ooh, okay. that sounds good. So I really need to read this so that I can leave a review on Goodreads, because the publisher sent it to me. I think because this video is already 20 minutes long, that I'm gonna actually end it here. And we will do part 2, Being Buzz cover, in a different video, just because, I don't know, my videos right now are like 20 to 40 minutes usually, and we're already approaching that. So, oh, I forgot to tell you, December's is an alliteration. And again, I don't have anything on my physical TBR for this one, but I'm certain that I have something digitally. Wait. Stop. Alita, you are so dumb. No, you're not. You're very smart. You're a very smart lady. We're gonna rewind all of what I just said. I do have 2 books. I have 2 choices. And I don't know which one I'm gonna pick. But I'm either gonna read Pride and Prejudice or Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. I still have 3 Jane Austen books. They were required reads in 2024. I read 3. I read half of her books. But I've not read the rest. And Sense and Sensibility and Pride and Prejudice. Oh my gosh. So an alliteration is just PNP, SNS. So Pride and Prejudice, Sense and Sensibility. One of those. I really want to finish Jane Austen's books this year. And we're getting to, like, showtime. We gotta do it, or else I'm not going to until 2026. Which I guess is fine. That's like a 2-year project, because I started in 2024. If I finish it in 2026, that's still progress. But I would like to finish it before 2026 comes. So yes, one of these Jane Austen books. Why didn't I think of that? I'm like staring right at my Jane Austen. I have a big bind up of all of them. And I'm like, but I'm glad you guys helped me talk through that a little bit. Don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe to my channel. Come back tomorrow so that we can talk about Buzz cover challenge, how I'm doing on that challenge, and then the day after come back so that we can talk about how I'm doing on TBR Knockout from Completely Melanie. Anyways, I've talked your ear off, so I will see you in the next video. Bye!